Hello and welcome to episode 1012 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, February 11th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon, morning for him, by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning to you. Happy afternoon to me.
Yeah. Time changes are stupid.
I know. We're on that cusp there where you're still in the morning and I'm in Central here in the afternoon, but Twitter was down, so I'm not going to ask how your morning was. I know it was terrible for those 20 minutes that we had to deal.
I was going crazy because, right now is obviously it's like the beginning of draft season for a lot of people. For me,
a lot of fun discussions out there too.
Well, for me, it's prime time, promoting time, right? I've got TGFBI. I just sent out 100-some emails about TGFBI satellites. If you want to sign up for those, you can still sign up for those over on tgfbi.com. We're playing them on Fantrax this year. So for those of you who don't play on it, can't play on an FBC or prefer Fantrax, got them over there this year. We've already raised $3,000 for charity between those two. So I was all excited to tweet it all out and be like, yeah, let's do this. And
nope. Twitter had different things in mind for you.
Yeah, no, it's been a frustrating morning, but other than that, I'm all right.
It was going out sporadically for me too, where different parts were stopping to. And by the way, we fully acknowledge it doesn't really matter. We're overplaying.
It does. No, it does.
No,
I absolutely matter.
No,
it's the most important thing going on.
No, it's not, and I acknowledge that for anybody that wants to take it too seriously. But it's back, and so we're good too, because I was gonna die. We're gonna talk about something that happened yesterday. No, not the whole meeting with Rob Manfred, because we were already mad. You just heard us talk about Twitter. We're not trying to get that mad again. So we're not going to talk about everything he said. We're going to talk about one key piece. Justin, took you a year, but you were right.
I did
it. In fairness, everyone knew it was coming back this year. But as the longest holdout for last year,
I was first.
I'm going to give you the little crown there. Even though it came a year later. But yeah, NLDH, again, that one felt like the biggest slam dunk of everything. So is it locked, and loaded, or was he just saying it was something that was being bandied about?
It sounds like it is locked and loaded.
It sounded locked. Okay. I just want to make sure that I didn't interpret it overly.
Both sides, but this was kind of, like you said, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think everybody saw this coming. Both sides want this.
I don't even think this was a big bargaining chip, because everyone's like, yes, this just makes sense. Let's just do this. Mm-hmm. This is not. It says right here, MLB and LBPA in agreement on adding universal DH. So that is good. We got something good out of there. Now, everything else that we got, I don't want to get into, but we are going to go through these NL teams, talk about guys who could benefit from this, right? And obviously, we're not the only ones doing this, but we want to give our thoughts on it. So let's go team by team in the National League and see where we're at. Now, if you read my roster reviews, you're going to know a lot of how I feel about things. I would have hoped that when I wrote, for example, say Atlanta's roster review on November 22nd, I would have hoped that doing a podcast on February 11th, I would have some clarity on where Freddie Freeman is, because when I wrote theirs, I was like, well, even if we assume Freddie Freeman's resigned, he'll play some DH there or whatever. And obviously we don't know anything about that. But let's get into Atlanta, even though they are a bit up in the air because of Freeman. First off, do you believe he resigns there?
I do.
What percentage are you on that as far as confidence?
60.
Okay, so over half, better than a coin flip, but still a little trepidation there. I don't think I used trepidation properly there. Still a little uncertainty.
You use trepidation, I think.
Okay. You're still tiptoeing around it a little bit, and I understand that. By the way, I'm not dissing you, because I'm the same. I think they could have the rug pulled out from under them, man. I really do.
If this was prior to the lockout, I would have said there's like a 90-95% chance that Freddie Freeman ends up back in Atlanta.
I thought he would get done too before the lockout.
Yeah, the fact that they didn't get it done quickly tells me that there is trepidation on one of the sides. Whether it's on his side that he wants to be paid like he's on the open market, or whether it's them not wanting to do such a long contract. Because, we've seen the effects of some of these long contracts on teams like the Tigers, on teams like the Angels. even though, I mean, the Angels Pujols one, you can definitely ooh, that one's kind of gross. But like the Tigers got their money's worth on Cabrera. So like, as much as people crap on it now, it's revisionist history. I
don't pretend he wasn't one of the single greatest players in my favorite team's franchise. Like, yeah, they didn't need to sign that extension early. They did it with him and Verlander. The Verlander one worked out, you know. Yeah, even if they had kept him, obviously he stayed great. But the Miggy one definitely didn't, and it was just so unnecessary. And I respect, you know, Illich standing up. We crap on owners so hard, and then someone goes out and kind of makes a very pro player move by signing those 2 extensions, and then he gets crushed for that. So it's like it's a no-win sitch. But you know, I knew at the time that like that there's gonna be really difficult for this to end well, just because it's so hard for guys to be good into their late 30s. And the crazy thing is, for as bad as Miggy has definitely been, you look and since 2017, basically a 5-year run of being a league average player, he's still league average player, but is so far from what Miggy is. I'm not trying to justify and say like that's totally fine, but it's not like he's dragging a Chris Davis weight around, right? Like he's still having moments, doing different things. He spiked back up to 128 OPS. Well, that was only in 38 games in 2018. But yeah, he's mostly lived around a 100 or 99 with Miggy.
He's
but anyway,
playable. Like,
yeah, he's still playable. He's still playable. And I think Freeman will be like that. I think he'll age like that.
I do
Obviously,
too.
you never know with injuries, but if he gets like a 7-year deal, he's going to be age 32 this year. I think the latter part of that will be more in the Miggy realm of like he's still an average bat, but it's not Freddie Freeman, so it feels like it's a colossal fall off. So I think if they re-sign him, he's gonna. I think right now they are a rotating type of team, with Ozuna carrying the bulk of that. Marcell Ozuna looks like he's gonna be back. He's not been charged with anything, and I think he's going back to the Braves. So do you think he takes the full-time DH, or do you think they have, you know, a couple rotation spots every 2 times a week, say, where everybody gets a day off? Always gets off his feet. Swanson gets off his feet. Freeman. How do you see it? Do you see it as full Ozuna, or does he play some outfield that he can open it up for some people here and there too?
I think it's pretty full. I mean, he is so bad defensively. And now he's
pretty good at climbing on the wall though, and like standing there and waiting for the ball to land in front of him.
Yeah, so especially when you've got 2 young guys in Waters and Pache who are much better.
They're going to be ready though to hit.
I don't know if that Waters will be. I mean, I don't think either will be necessarily ready to hit, but Pache plays a good enough defense where I think that will keep him in the lineup fairly regularly. I do think, I mean, you look at this lineup and from top to bottom, they're like no straight left-handed bats.
Correct. There's 2 switch hitters, and that's it. One of them's Waters.
One of them's Waters.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder if they go out and get someone maybe like a Schwarber, or
I knew you were going to say Schwarber. Yeah,
a lefty of some sort to kind of break this up. In that,
Freddie Freeman could fit there.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman would fit. But even with Freddie Freeman, I think they'd want another one.
I agree. Getting more than one would not be a bad idea, especially with Waters penciled in right now. I think you go Freeman and Schwarber. You get Orlando Arcia out of first, which is who we currently have penciled in, and then you get Schwarber there in left, and then Ozuna is the DH there. And Schwarber's not horrendous defensively, so they don't have anybody that really benefits though. Unless you had some concerns about Ozuna's playing time, maybe related to health, if he had to play the outfield. That's the only thing I can think.
If there is a beneficiary, if this is the team, assuming we think that Freeman is back, but if this is the team they go forward with, which I don't expect them to, I would say Waters is the big beneficiary because he has the potential to be up fairly early and get playing time. He's really struggled in the high minors, so I definitely think he's a candidate to go back to the minor leagues for a while, for midsummer, to kind of work out things in the minor leagues.
His numbers look like they're from the movie Midsummer. which is not good. The movie is sorry, but
I have no idea what movie you're referencing.
Sorry. Some people will, and it's for them,
Okay.
not you. Okay.
Yeah.
But I wasn't saying the movie's bad. I'm saying the things that happen in it are bad. It's a bad analogy. I'm moving on. We're moving on. We're sticking and moving. We're going over to the Mets. Mets time, baby. All right. The New York Mets. Now, they are a team that probably did backflips when they got this news yesterday that it was locked and loaded on the DH, or as we suspect, they knew all along, and that's why the makeup of this team is as it is. Awkward phrasing there, but the obvious one, the one that we have penciled in, is Robinson Cano. To be honest, he'd kind of slipped my radar when I wrote up their roster review. I forgot, that he gets to come back. Now you talk about somebody who actually is aging quite well. Now he has had help for that. We know that very clearly because he just got popped for PEDs again.
But they're not testing right now.
I know. Dude, there's gonna be so many dudes doing it. Like because by the time they start back up and get another joint drug agreement, there'll be enough time to kind of cycle off. Yeah, some dudes are definitely going to be going crazy next year.
If they get the CBA worked out this weekend, or next week, like there's talk that there's a possibility, they will not have enough time to cycle off. And you could see a bunch of people getting popped very early in the season.
That'd be crazy. If it goes the other way, that'd be crazy.
Because what we do know is that there's an appeals process, and we don't get to find out who has tested positive until the appeal is final and the suspension starts.
Yeah, that's why like the Laureano suspension, the Marte deal we thought was to bolster the team. It was actually to replace Laureano because they knew way in advance. And so go ahead. I'm sorry.
So if you start seeing a team after the CBA is lifted that has bring someone in as like
at an obviously filled position.
Yeah, at an obviously filled position, you may want to think twice about drafting the person they could be filling in for.
If it's an automatic head scratcher, like they have this guy in
field, it doesn't make sense that they're bringing in Nelson.
Why did they get Conforto? They have a left-handed right fielder, and they just got Conforto. Boom, pop. Like it could happen like that. That's a good call out to pay attention to that. So we look up and down. There's DHs galore. You talk about Robinson Cano coming back, JD Davis, Dom Smith, Pete Alonso can get in there. I've heard some grumblings of Pete Alonso's defense getting better at first from like Mets watchers who see it kind of day in, day out. I do think judging first base defense is kind of best done. I don't want to say best done anecdotally, but best done by people who are watching all the time. Obviously, people like with the team that are analyzing it, sure, not necessarily just casual fans are like, he didn't pick that one. He sucks shit. But I think it's hard. The metrics don't really do a lot for me defensively at first base, but kind of seeing it and understanding how good they are at saving throws and things like that. But anyway, I think Alonso's going to play a lot of first. I think it really comes down to Cano, JD Davis, and Dom Smith. We have Cano penciled in with a platoon for JD Davis. How does that suit you? And is Dom Smith out in the cold here, even with a DH, because Canha and Eduardo Escobar came in?
I don't think he's out in the cold. I do think the Mets make a deal for a starting pitcher.
And they could use one of JD Davis or Smith.
Yeah, they could kind of free up. I also think there is
or McNeil.
Yeah, or McNeil, yeah. I think there's a distinct possibility that Cano's not on this team. I know he's getting paid, but the Mets don't care about me anymore. Like they've got the richest owner in baseball, so like why do they care? So I think there's a possibility that Cano's not actually on this team comes opening day, which would alleviate a lot of problems for a guy like JD Davis and Dom Smith. I think Smith is interesting from a volume standpoint if he can get it. I think JD Davis has real upside and power in that bat, which would make me a little bit more interested to draft him. I don't know where they're going in terms of their ADPs. I don't know if you have that handy.
I can pull it up, but I gotta say, man, I missed hard on Dom Smith last year, and I don't know what the heck happened. He fell apart. Like he was not the same player that we'd seen really at any point. Dom Smith's going 409. They're going in order as far as Mets. 409 for Dom Smith, 463 for JD Davis, and 518 for Robinson Cano. Like That's a nice price for Cano. I kind of like that gamble.
It's a nice price for all three of them, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would take any of those three. You're looking at Dom Smith last year, and the 50 game sample that he had in 2020. We weren't just extrapolating that, but he built on a 2018 or 2019 sample of 89 games. So then you started to have something a little bit more robust at 396 plate appearances with 21 homers, 299, 366, 571 was the slash line. It felt like this one-time big prospect was finally coming into his own, and it just cratered. The plate skills were virtually the same. The power disappeared, Justin. 244, 304, 363. His ISO went from 271 in 2019, 2020 combined to 119 last year. What the hell happened to Dom Smith's power, and can he get it back?
I mean, you got to wonder, like, the live ball in 2019, like how much that had, play there. He was never projected to be a big power guy.
No, he didn't have the crazy first base power, but he's supposed to have power though. And I'm looking at it right now. I see a home run to fly ball rate that dipped from 22% in both 19 and 20 to 9% last year. Is it as simple as that being the culprit? I will say also part of that might be his pull center oppo rates, mainly the pull in center. He pulled at a 43% clip in 2019-20 combined and down to 37 last year. So the pull percentage turning more into hits into the center of the field, which is going to be deeper, and his fly ball is not leaving the yard. I think those two things work hand in hand, and boom, power outage. Yeah, so I don't think it's just the homer to fly ball. I think it's the way he was hitting with the homer to fly ball rate, or that facilitated the homer to fly ball rate drop, is what I want to say.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a ton here.
That's the best I got. That's the best I got for it.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, the barrel percentage definitely went back down to where it was in 2019, and so you got to wonder. I think it's.
What was it in 20?
In 20, it was 13%.
Okay, what was it in 19?
It was 6.5.
And then last year it was like that again,
and it was 6.5 again. So you gotta wonder if it's like a combination of the live ball in 2019, where a 6.5% barrel rate might lead to a lot more home runs.
Didn't we have a live ball last year though? Not the same one, but I mean we had one that was live. It was different.
They changed it mid-season, but by mid-season he wasn't playing anymore.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true.
So, I mean, that
not as much at least. Well, he still wound up with 493 plate appearances.
Yeah, but how many of that was in the second half?
That's a fair question. I can get you that number, but I mean, to get that many,
he had 177 plate appearances in the second half.
So yeah, it fell off from 316 to 177. His playing time did come down 100%
because they were in a playoff race and they needed guys who were going to compete for them. Yeah, I mean, I don't find him that interesting. The only thing that's really nice about him is in some formats he will be still first base eligible. So if you're playing in
Dom Smith lost his first base eligibility.
Yeah, so he only played 15 games at first base. So if you're in Yahoo or a league where 15 is the limit, like Tout Wars for us, he'll be first base eligible. But if you're playing in a normal, league where it's 20 games, you're kind of SOL on that one.
Yeah, he's first base only.
He could get it back.
I mean, outfield only. Excuse me.
Yeah, he could get it back in season.
Sure.
There's so many interesting options that go late. I just don't know that. I'll ask you right now. Would you rather have Dom Smith or would you rather have Bradley Zimmer?
I gotta take Zimmer with that speed.
Yeah,
you know that. You got to do that. What about between him and JD Davis? You prefer Davis then?
I think I prefer Davis. I just feel like the upside on Davis, because I mean we know he's always been kind of a StatCast hero guy.
Yeah, he tattoos the ball pretty consistently,
and I believe he's still multi-position eligible. But I could.
He should have third outfield. I have Nope, just third only. They didn't move around as much last year. Mcneill kept 2 positions.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But VR has 2. And that's really it. They don't have guys that moved around quite as much last year. They had a little bit more stability.
I think it's easier to kind of go, okay, Davis struggled last year because of the torn ligament in his wrist.
Yeah.
Now that that's fixed, that, and it wasn't like a bone issue, so we're not worried about power necessarily being sapped when he comes back. Yeah, I think I'd rather have Davis.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Plus, third base depth after a while is just like nothing. So, like,
I think they're both best as DC picks right now for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you're drafting either of them in a like regular 30-round league, even a 15-teamer, unless like once we do get spring training, like one looks amazing, then you might go, okay.
If their situation changes, whether it's like that, like you said, or one of them gets moved, JD Davis, Robinson Cano, or Dom Smith, and into a full-time role. And then we say, okay, we can take them and it would still be around like 28, 29, 30 type. I still think they would be very much like one of your last picks there, but they could pay big. I think one of these three is going to pop. I don't know which one though, right? It's easy to say that. So I'm not even trying to make that like some big call that I'm going to like go crazy about next year. If I do get it right, if I don't pick the right one, if I had to pick one to explode though, I think it would be JD Davis.
I mean, the other potential guy who could get some extra value is Jeff McNeil. We kind of briefly mentioned him.
Yeah.
But, getting...
He has no power, though. He was such a 19...
But he's free.
Because he sucks.
But he's multi-positional eligible, and he's going to hit for average. Like, I was the biggest Jeff McNeil...
He's not even that free, though. He's 321. Those other guys are free.
He's gone up, then, because he was not 321 earlier this
No, he's a 299 career hitter, and you know how I feel about batting average later in the drafts. I always talk about how you can't usually find it. So I'm being hyperbolic when I say he sucks, but there is no pop. It is like a Luis Arraez late, another Luis Arraez type, and that can have some value though. And if in the right fit, you can definitely get there. Another guy, a name to keep an eye on, just to know, is Mark Vientos, a minor leaguer who was in AAA. Dude has big time pop. I'm a big fan. I know we just talked about how cluttered they are, and so it's like, well, where the heck's he going to play? We can say that about guys all the time. You don't know. Okay, I called him like a younger JD Davis. Which, hey, maybe they move Davis because they have Vientos, and then he comes on and and Vientos is Cano's platoon partner, but then he starts playing well, and Mcneill starts playing bad, and then boom, Vientos is in the full-time roster.
They also have Brett Batty, who we saw.
Yes, we saw him in Fall League,
and he looks good.
I love Batty. I think it's Batty. Batty or Batty? I think it looks like Batty because it's Batty.
Speaking of which, someone commented that one of the reasons they love to listen to podcasts is because how poorly I pronounce names.
Well, taking that torch from Eno.
Yeah,
that's what you were going to say.
Yeah, taking the torch from Eno. I do not feel like you are calling me out or anything like that, or dragging me by telling me I'm mispronouncing a name.
Same.
Absolutely.
I want to always be right.
Yeah, absolutely. DM me, hit me up on Twitter, where in the comment section of the posts. Like, I want to be corrected. I want to get names right. Last year I got a pronunciation guide, which was awesome. I'm hoping to get another one this year.
I think Steve Gardner's I just saw a tweet about that this morning. I believe Steve Gardner gets a hold of one and then kind of puts it out to the fantasy community. So we'll get that, and we'll make sure that we're on that.
I got mine from Chris at Baseball Pods.
Perfect.
It's super, super helpful. I am awful with names. Just in
I'm with
general,
you, though.
In real life, I'm bad with names, and so and then you throw names I have no idea
from different cultures that we don't know yet. So I'm never going to be like, don't correct me. Absolutely. Like I pride myself on trying to be right on them and trying to pronounce the ones properly. So if I'm missing stuff too, definitely hit my line and let me know. I remember there was now I'm going to be self-conscious about it, but Encarnacion, I forget how I was saying it, and maybe I am saying it wrong right now, but I got a correction on that. And so I was mindful of that one. But yeah, we're definitely down to make sure that we're pronouncing it correctly. Like Christian Yelich. It's obviously Yelich, right?
It is.
That's my favorite one of his.
Yeah, that's the best. I once on the ITL podcast called Michael Cuddier. I also
don't do that when I'm drinking.
On a different ITL podcast, the football one, when I was still covering football. I said instead of Jameis Winston, I said Jemias Winston when he was a rookie.
Those are excellent, dude. Cuttier is
Mhm.
funny because me and my friends used to call him that as like a meme, just
Mhm.
goofing around, pronouncing names differently. I'm sure a lot of people do that, but that's so funny that yeah, Michael Cuttier, man, I love that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Michael Cuddler, he likes to cuddle. All right, we're moving on. So the Mets, we think it's going to be rotating. Someone could emerge and kind of take it over, but it's really hard to tell right now because they have a cluster. They're definitely another team that if we were further along in the offseason, we'd probably have more clarity, but we're not, so we don't. Let's go to Philly. Now, for them, this feels tailor-made for Hoskins. And I think Harper and Real Muto would get the occasional chance there. Real Muto on a lot of his days off from behind the dish, I think would get a chance to fill in, and then Hoskins can play first. They don't have a first baseman right now, so that doesn't necessarily have to be Hoskins all the time, but I think they would like to, now that it's situated, to have the DH. I think they'd prefer to have Hoskins there a decent bit. So that's the guy that I would think right now. We have Matt Vearl penciled in right now, a prospect for Philly who did make his debut last year for 77 plate appearances after decent 55 games. Oh, never mind. Not a very good 55 games in AAA. He was better in AA, but he's 24, so I don't put much stock into his AA work last year for Vearl. So I don't see a whole lot from him. I really think they're better off getting somebody either for the DH spot, maybe bring back Kutch if you don't want him in the field as much, or put Hoskins there and go get a first baseman type. What do you think about Philadelphia's situation?
I think the big winner is Real Muto, because I think
those supplemental plate appearances.
Yeah, I think he's going to be back over 600 plate appearances. I think that Vearling's. I don't know that Vearling's super interesting. Scott Kingery, maybe they can play Alec Baum at first and move Hoskins to DH and play Kingery at third if he can show anything.
I have a hard time quitting him. I see him late in drafts, and I'm like,
Mhm.
that power speed, even though he has done nothing in the big leagues.
I think if Kingery is not going to make the opening day roster, maybe like Nick Maton is a guy who could grab some extra plate appearances.
I could see that.
I could also see this being a team who brings in another bat. Whether it's Kutchback or whether it's there's been talk that maybe they could be a fit for Story or Correa if they've just decided that Didi's done.
Didi's not it, or if they want to play him like utility.
Yeah, he could be like the super utility guy. I don't know that that's their biggest need necessarily, so I don't know that that's what they're going to end up doing. But I definitely think that there's at least one more piece probably going to be added to this roster. So I think that whoever that is, whether, like you said, McCutchen makes a lot of sense. He's been playing there.
Whoever that is will jiggle everything else around.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of solidify the DH. Sorry, I thought you were done there. You said
no,
he's the DH. He's a clubhouse favorite, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And they do have a team with they're trying to build a winning culture, and a guy like that can continue to be interesting. And he decimated lefties. So if Kutch would come back and focus on mostly playing against lefties and the occasional start against righties, and he's fine with that, then that could definitely work.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Philly. They seem pretty easy there, but they're going to get somebody else. Let's go out to Washington and talk about them. Team that's kind of they're in between rebuild and retool. Retool is usually when you don't tear it all the way down, you try to keep the core pieces and keep building. And rebuild, of course, it is tearing it down. They're not doing that. They can't right now. They have the pitchers that are still held over in Strasburg and Corbin that they're paying a ton to. They have Soto right now, so they don't have time to do that. So they got Soto and Bell and Keibert Ruiz. And they're hoping Victor Robles, and I like Lane Thomas. They're building a little bit of a core, but they need some other things to kind of get going. Are they going to give their DH spot to a 34-year-old Yadiel Hernandez? Because he's the obvious fit for on the team right now. So unless you think they're going to go out of the org, he looks to be the guy for me.
I think he is the guy. And I think he's super intriguing.
I think so too, with full-time burn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
or
strong side
a consistent role. Yeah. A consistent role is what I mean to say, not necessarily every single day.
400 plus plate appearances.
Yeah.
I think he can, be a potential 15-5 guy with a decent average.
I think there's some average upside. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's a really interesting guy. I mean, he toiled around the minors for a really long time. Got an
Played in
opportunity.
Cuba too. Yadiel Hernandez did.
Yeah, got opportunity last year because of injuries and then trades. So yeah, I think he's really interesting. I don't want to bury Luis Garcia though.
Me neither. I actually think that he can get the starting job on a field though. Like I know he's not going to beat out Cesar Hernandez. They brought him in, but I wonder if he could. Like, are we doing this Alcides Escobar thing again?
I think they are doing this Alcides Escobar thing again.
Well, then you do start to look at Garcia maybe getting some of the DH reps then.
Yeah, Garcia's not a great fielder.
He's actually quite bad. Yep.
At short. So the fact that they brought in Cesar Hernandez was really shocking to me because I thought, he makes a lot more sense at second base.
Yeah.
So you do kind of wonder if maybe they're going to give him an opportunity to DH a little bit, be kind of a super utility guy, or maybe Carter Keyboom ends up hitting the bench. I don't know.
Or Keyboom DHs and Garcia maybe gets some third. I don't know. Like that, they could be interchangeable there. Keyboom started to show some things a little bit toward the end of the year. Didn't he have some flashes? Yeah, I know that's your guy. You're always sticking with Keyboom. I mean, he's still only going to be 24. I think there's reason to kind of stick with him if you've liked him. Yadiel Hernandez, definitely a draft and hold, draft champions type of pick. I think Keyboom has some 30 round 15 team entry as like a 28th, 29th pick. Because he is still just 24 with only 414 plate appearances spread out over 3 seasons. And we don't really know who he is yet. So if you've liked him in the past, especially, I think you should stick with him, because if he doesn't get that full-time job at third base, I think Keyboom could get some of the DH burn as well.
Absolutely.
All right. That and one more in the AL or in the NL East, excuse me. It's all NL. So just in the East is Miami. Now, they have an obvious one if they bring back Jesus Aguilar, but we don't know if they're going to. And I want to advocate for my guy, Lewin Diaz, who I remain yes.
Aguilar's not a free agent.
Why did I saw somebody say that?
Somebody said that earlier today on Twitter.
I saw that. That's where I got that from.
Yeah, and he's
he's available. Okay.
Yeah, he's under contract for one more season.
Oh, then it's Aguilar.
So, yeah, it's Aguilar.
It's Aguilar.
He's the dude. I think this opens up a lot of opportunities for a lot of guys on this team.
Yeah, go ahead and give us some of the names that you're most intrigued by getting the opportunities.
When they made the Wendell trade, I was really worried about Wendell because I didn't know if there were going to be a DH. But I think the fact that they can now move Brian Anderson to DH and play Wendell at third, pretty.
Or Anderson can play first, and Aguilar DH. Like those two could be interchangeable, and Wendell can play third a lot.
I mean, you're going to see sleeper articles on Garrett Cooper. I don't know that I care anymore. I think at some point he's going to have to prove it. He's 31.
It's 31.
The DH is nice because if they want, they can put him there and kind of protect him from having to play the field because he gets hurt out there. So I just don't know that it matters, especially right now. It looks like he's probably in a short side platoon.
He might just be a lefty killer, Garrett Cooper.
Yeah, which is great for DFS.
Yeah,
but I'm not super interested in most formats. One more spot for John Birdie to find plate appearances.
It is.
Get those 20 stolen bases that everybody knows are coming, but nobody seems to draft.
He can be that guy, and the number one guy for me in this role was always Rajai Davis, who did it. Now we have not seen Birdie do what Rajai Davis is the platinum standard of being a guy who doesn't come anywhere near a full-time role yet has extreme fantasy value because of his stolen bases. We have not seen that really from Birdie. He can do that. He had the 17 in 2019, 9 in 2020 in 39 games, and then 8 last year in 85 games. His hitting fell off a little bit last year. I think I had him in the forecaster and felt like a lot of the stuff that happened to him lingered on the bad luck. Like I didn't just say, look at the 265 BABIP. Yeah,
it's pretty.
And so that's kind of where I was leaning. Yeah, I wrote about him. He had the concussion. I really
think put the ball an extreme amount on the ground.
Which should help your BABIP though.
Yeah, it was 58% ground ball percentage, which I mean he's a high ground ball tilt guy, anyways.
But that was still a jump.
That was really really extreme. You know, he was pretty much like a 53% guy for his career, and that the 58 raised his career ground ball percentage 2%. I mean, it was pretty stark. You know, he ended his season because of a concussion, so we'll have to wait and see if he's okay from that, because those
scary.
Those are scary and can linger. So, you know, I mean, I don't think he's a first option necessarily, but the thing about this Marlins team, and they're again another team that could bring in talent. So I mean, a lot of this could change if they decide that they want to get one of the big remaining free agents out there. But it's a team that deals with a lot of injuries and has kind of some older pieces or pieces that, you know, tend to disappoint. So like I could see Birdie, like he's definitely not going to start with a full-time role, but
he can play everywhere.
He play everywhere, and if he's healthy, he's going to run. So yeah, I think he's a really interesting kind of beneficiary that I don't think people are going to look at.
I love Birdie for NL only, especially like, you know, it's a super deep format. I get that it's a niche thing, but we're talking about a niche type player. And so despite the Jesus Aguilar thing being wrong, again, I saw the same thing you did this morning. Like, I thought he was signed, but I didn't question it, and I should have. So I got that one wrong. But I will still advocate for Lewin Diaz, who I do really like.
I was literally just about to say, like, let's not sleep on.
Yeah, I don't want to overshadow that, even though Aguilar is there, because Lewin Diaz, 25-year-old first base prospect, and I know that's a little oxymoronic at times because guys usually have to move down the defensive spectrum for first base, but he's a legit prospect, and I think there's some nice pop here. And you know, if they want, like, obviously fielding is never a giant thing at first base, but Diaz can play some nice first base. He has a good fielding grade in his scouting, 60 fielding with 70 upside. Like, they think he can get even better. He's got some athleticism over there. He's got some raw power that if he can start to bring to game, I think Lewin Diaz can be a low 20s homer guy with enough playing time. He needs to find the PT, but again, most of the drafts that are going on right now are draft and hold 50 rounders, and that's this kind of guy that I will take, you know, in that 40-something round, because he could find a role and really pop off. So I like Lewin Diaz.
Well, and he's not young. Like,
so no, he's like ready. Like there's no reason to keep him down.
He's going to be 26 early in the season. So at this point, the Marlins need to figure out if he's part of the future team or not. So I do think of all the guys we've talked about, he's probably the guy.
No, he just turned 25. This is his age 25 season.
Oh, you know, I was looking at Ice and Diaz for a second there.
Another one though too.
Another guy who could benefit from
who like, but it's time, right? Time's ticking. And I agree with you on Isan Diaz, who I've also had some affinity for, but like, hey, time's ticking, buddy. Like, you got to do something.
Contact.
He's got to figure something out. Diaz, that is something that he does, and that's one of the interesting things about him is, for a power hitter, he makes some pretty decent contact, particularly in the minors. He's been more of a 25-26% strikeout guy at the majors, so he needs to bring some of that minor league swing and miss to the majors.
Like, look at the projection systems for Lewin Diaz, and they all have him for somewhere between 14 and 16 home runs in a half season.
Bingo.
So if he was to be able to be given that full-time opportunity, now that there is a DH, put Aguilar at DH, let Diaz play full-time, give him an opportunity. We're talking about a guy with 30 home run potential.
Completely agree there. And I think we could see that, right? There things need to happen, and you start to make these leaps, right? We're not saying that's what happens. We're trying to look at the outlook of how things can go right for somebody like a Lewin Diaz. So that's the East. Let's go into the Central and start with the Cards. I think they are another team that had to be doing backflips here that this is happening, because they've got some really intriguing guys who can do this. My favorite is Juan Yepes, a guy we saw in the minors, or excuse me, at the fall league. He's not the obvious guy right now. In fact, they have Paul DeYoung,
my boy,
in there, with Edmundo Sosa staying at shortstop. Even though DeYoung's improved, I think Sosa does still check out better defensively. And that's why they would put DeYoung there. DeYoung had a disastrous season. Let's talk about it for a moment, because he is your guy. Remember, you had, what was it, 2 years ago, where it was the whole big Paul DeYoung thing?
Yep.
And
which I won, by the way. I won that.
Who was it? Who was it against?
It was Correa.
That's right. That's right. And Correa, well, was it 19, 18 or 19? If it was 19, I mean, Paul DeJong went 30-9, even with the
I believe it was
233 average.
I believe
Even with the average, I think you would win there
Yeah.
at 233 because Correa probably didn't play enough games in 2019. Correa played 75 games. So, yeah, you definitely won that.
Yeah.
But good thing you didn't prop him up this year because that would have really blown up on you. He hit 19 homers, 4 steals, 197 average in 402 plate appearances. What the heck happened to Paul DeJong, and can he rebound at age 28 this year?
I mean, I definitely think he can rebound.
Will he rebound? What is your likelihood? Are you drafting him? Are you in on him again?
I have not drafted him anywhere yet. I'm not opposed. Yes, I do. I'm not opposed to drafting. The problem is shortstop is so deep, and
Really
I've heard a little bit of pushback that it's just deep at the top, and really thins out. And it does. I mean, there's some big drop offs in talent, but there's some guys.
Wait. What position doesn't? A deep position doesn't mean that everyone's a superstar, but they also legitimately, I think shortstop has 10 superstar fantasy players at least, with another 5 or 6 right there. Would it surprise you if Jazz was a superstar fantasy player this year? No. Willie Adames. I didn't even include Corey Seager. Wander Franco is in there, but Carlos Correa, Gleyber Torres, Dansby Swan. So, I mean, no, I disagree with that pushback. It's the deepest position. You don't have to be contrarian just to be contrarian. It's so unbelievably deep. It's not.
There's 40 guys that I'd be undeniable. Cool. Yeah, I'd be cool with rostering, and 30 plus of those guys, I would be totally fine if he was a regular in my starting lineup. So it is super, super deep. And so the problem is
back to DeJong, where we
and so because of that, by the time I get to DeJong in the draft, I've already rostered 2, sometimes even 3 shortstops.
He doesn't play anywhere else, so you can't.
And it's
shift it.
I'm going to make a point of getting him in a league
just to make sure.
Yeah, just to make sure I have him. But it's a really difficult thing to roster.
What do you think went wrong last year then that had him fall? Is this actually just range of outcomes? Because if you look, that first year when Paul DeJong came up and hit a 123 WRC plus, we all knew it was over his skis. He had gotten some amazing batted ball luck on his on his barrels, basically his 95 plus stuff. So he came back down to earth in 18 with a 103 and a 101 in 2019. So that's it's perfectly solid league average guy. Now since the start of 20, he has 576 plate appearances of being an 86 WRC plus. It was 87 in 2020, 86 last year. So is this a range of outcomes thing based on his swing and miss and lack of walks? Or was there something out there that's fixable for Paul DeJong to get him back threatening 30 homers again?
I think this is a range of outcomes thing. I don't see a whole lot in the profile that's changed. I mean, he even made more zone contact. His barrel percentage was up. I think there was a little bit of unluckiness in balls in play, and I think that this is kind of a player like him. You're going to have kind of fluctuations in batting average.
Yeah, he had a 216 BABIP. Let's give him some credit there. He's a big time fly ball guy, which can hurt your BABIP because you can have homers, doubler. First off, homers don't help you on BABIP, and then easy outs. A lot more easy outs with fly balls, as opposed to ground balls, which can kind of skitter through the infield, square by guys, and give you. So generally speaking, ground ball guys are going to have better BABIPs than fly ball guys. But 216 is an outlier, even for Paul DeJong, who's a 282 career guy. So if that kind of gets back,
he's also. I think it was Jason pointed out an article that talked about he is working with some new trainers, and supposedly is looking really, really good.
Of his life,
reworking his swing a little bit, trying to work on making a little bit more contact. So, I don't know. I mean, at pick 400 or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna look it up for you. It's 490, dude. It's 490 for Paul DeJong.
He's gonna play every day at 490. Getting a guy who's probably gonna get 500 to 600 plate appearances is worth it.
The only thing I would say is, the playing time is not guaranteed if he plays like he did last
I'm
year.
pretty sure they said that he's going to be given the starting job.
That's fine. That's to start. If he plays like he did last year, he's losing his job. Whether it's Tawan Yepes, Lars Newbar. I'm not countering you and saying don't draft him. I'm saying that stability, like, it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
He's going to start with a job, which is why you draft him. But he will be threatened this year.
But then pair him in a DC with someone like Nolan Gorman, who we know is going to be up in a month or two. And hey, you ride with him for the first month. He doesn't work out. You've got Gorman to come in and take his place.
You can take DeYoung and Gorman, DeYoung and Yepes, DeYoung and Newtbar, whatever you want to do there. That's kind of your insurance, and it doesn't kill you because those guys are cheaper than him. Gorman goes $531, Yepes goes $556, and Newtbar goes $636. So you're totally fine to go ahead and kind of supplement and handcuff your DeYoung pick if you want, because those guys aren't expensive. But that's how we kind of see it playing out with DeYoung starting in the DH role, and then maybe they can. He can get a shot at short every once in a while to get Goldschmidt off his feet, Arenado off his feet, even some of the young outfielders off their feet, Yadi Molina off his feet type of deal. But for the most part, I think it can be DeYoung if he bounces back. All right, let's go out to Milwaukee and talk about what they've got going. They don't have Vogelbach anymore, right? He's a free agent.
Yeah, they really let him go.
Yeah. So let's see. Their decisions, I think, come down to, I really like it for my boy Rowdy Tellez, who got back on track with them once he was traded over. I know Keston Hiura too. And like a Tellez, even though this doesn't need to happen, Rowdy Tellez does not need a platoon partner. He has shown in his career that he can hit lefties enough that I think he deserves a chance. And I know it takes a long time for platoon splits to stabilize, but I also know that teams do just look at the performance of guys and give it weight one way or the other. If they're not performing off of 300 plate appearances, they stop facing that hand as much. If they are performing, they should be able to have the counter happen where they get those plate appearances. And over the course of Tellez's career, he's hit lefties as almost exactly as well as he's hit righties. 755 OPS in 242 plate appearances. But all that lead up to say that Mike Brasso could definitely take some stuff there in platoon, because Brasso destroys lefties.
And he's the only natural platoon partner in that infield is Tellez.
Yep.
Now Brasso could be the guy who's the short side platoon at first, and then Tellez DHs, and maybe that's
on those days. Yeah, that's a good call.
That could definitely happen. Tyrone Taylor is going to be, he's the guy who we have penciled in over on Roster Resource.
And he'll be in against lefties.
Yeah, but he's also gonna play when Kane gets hurt, as he probably will, because he's old and injury prone.
I hope not, but
he's gonna give Yelich days off when Yelich gets hurt, or just to keep him fresh. He's gonna give Hunter Renfroe.
Yeah, so Taylor's a true fourth outfielder. He plays. Yeah. He showed some things last year, I think, that they liked enough, especially with his platoon split, because he was just a lefty only type guy. And then he stood tall a little bit against righties for his level. He had 7 of his 12 homers with a over 200 ISO, good for a 747 OPS against righties. Tyrone Taylor had to maybe get some more playing time there. So I think they'll move. Here's the thing. If Keston Hiura gets back on track, he's the everyday DH guaranteed.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Now, that's a giant if, because of how we know how terrible it's been since 2019.
There was an article that came out yesterday saying he is ditching the toe tap and completely reworking his swing mechanics. So
I root for him, but
I do too, because he's a fun player to watch. He's
really
definitely worth a gamble.
Oh yeah, let me pull up his ADP. What do you guess it is if you don't know?
375 is my guess.
375 for Keston Hiura. Boy, you're gonna be loving this because you're getting a fat discount on that. 495.
Wow. Yeah, I'll take
20
that
cheaper all day.
Yeah,
all day. Like once you
use a second round pick.
Yeah,
not that long.
Once you display a skill, you own it. He had a 139 WRC plus in 2019 with 19 homers and 9 steals. And yes, rabbit ball, sure. But even in 2020, when things were falling apart and he only hit 212, he still had a 198 ISO. I think he's at least a 190 to 210 ISO guy, maybe not the 268 from 2019 for Castanier. It all comes down to making more contact. So you talk about ditching the toe tap. I believe he uses an actual redwood tree for his bat too. So maybe using a little bit lighter bat would help too. I know Brandon Inge used to do that too. And it was always like a fun little story or whatever. It's like, but you also can't get around on anything. So why are you doing that?
It's the branches they catch on things.
That's true. Exactly. They get caught on like catcher gear. One time he like ripped off the umpire's mask on a swing because it was a rogue branch that really got him. So it just creates too much havoc. But yeah, I can't quit Hira. I did last year, actually. I shouldn't say I can't, but I got to get back in at this price. This is
absolutely
free. This is free that we're talking about. So Hira, Brasso, Tellez, Tyrone Taylor, a lot of guys.
Couple names I'll just throw out there.
Let's hear them.
Corey Ray, who's one of their top prospects, who's kind of had up and down pedigree.
Yep.
He is likely going to be up at some point.
He's on the 40, so that's a huge advantage. Are you going to see the other guy from Fall League?
David Dahl is a non-roster invite.
Yeah, talking about another guy I can't quit. Jesus.
I've never been a David Dahl guy.
I always have been. And I remember desperately wanting Detroit to get him last year when he was available. And turns out we dodged a bullet there.
Shout out to our good buddy Colin Weatherwax.
Right.
Who is like the David Dahl.
And rubbed it in that his team got him over me. Because remember, there was that Dahl to Detroit hashtag that actually went a bit viral. And all of that. And he's like, oh, we got Dahl. Yeah, you did, Colin. How'd that work out for you, bud?
It was
See
great.
you in the Twitch chat tonight.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So we know that there's talent in the bat. Dude cannot stay healthy.
He's gonna be like a Rocco Baldelli what if type of guy by the time.
Absolutely. But if he makes the team,
you're right to bring him up.
He's a non-roster invite. If he makes the team, he could be interesting. Milwaukee's a great place to hit. So.
The guy that I was thinking about, and he's probably not even coming up this year, but I wasn't sure if you were going to go there. But Joey Weimer Weimer that we saw at Fall League, he's only been as high as high A, but he went to the Fall League, I think, because of the missed development year, which is huge. Like, it sucks so bad for the 2020 draftees. He could make it this year, despite the fact that he's only been to high A, because he's already 23. He did get to go to the Fall League and show out. He had a great 2-level season at A and A plus, or high A rather. So he'll start probably at double A. I wonder if they skip double A with him and challenge him. I don't know. We'll see about that. But he could be a quick riser. He has crazy good power. He's just one of those freak athlete types. Joey Weimer, Wiemer. Just keep the name in your head. Don't draft him right now. I really don't think you need to. If you're in dynasty leagues, of course, he might already be gone. But if not, then that's somewhere to get him. But I wouldn't even draft him in 50 rounders right now. It's not for that kind of name. It's just to know him. If he comes up in the summer, then you say, oh, Sporer and Justin talked about him. I remember him, type of deal.
One of the misconceptions about 50-round drafting holds is that you want to take a lot of shots on up-and-coming prospects.
Correct. You're right that's a perception, and it's wrong.
It is absolutely wrong, because by the time your roster gets to May, June, July, you're going to have so many injuries that you're not going to want someone sitting on your roster that's not even in the majors.
Yep.
So,
and that shit happens all the time.
Yep. Every year I have a team that in May, I look at my team and I go, it happened last year. So in a draft, it was my first draft of the year in 2021. And I drafted Trey Turner and I drafted Mondesi, I think, or someone. And like all of a sudden, a month into the season, because Mondesi got hurt and I think Turner got hurt, I'm playing Eric Sogard at shortstop.
Less than ideal.
Yeah. So
no offense to Eric Sogard. He's out there doing his thing, but less than ideal.
He was at least playing.
Yeah. But then you start to get into those points where you're like, I don't have a playable dude. And that is tough. And you can't win doing that. And that's why you're going to see, if you follow, some of these NFBC studs, those of you that get deep into the NFBC stuff, kind of the big dogs out there. You look at their rosters, you're going to see so much like boring talent picked in those middle rounds, because they're guys that are going to play. They're just guys that. Why'd you take him? He has a job. Why'd you take him? He has a job. That's just the stock answer with those middle late round guys that are just there for volume. Why'd you take Patrick Corbin? You believe in a comeback? No, I don't know, but he's going to start. And what if he does? He's better than taking Nick Lodolo, even though Nick Lodolo's sexy, and it's like, oh, that's so sick. I wanna get the up and coming lefty prospect. Give me the guy who's pitching and he's gonna make 30 starts if he's healthy, even though they might not be great. I might need him for a couple weeks.
Was that a dig at Keith Law?
No, why would he say?
Oh, you didn't see Keith Law left Nick Lodolo off his top 100 prospects, and a bunch of Reds people or Reds like Twitter like went after him like, why? And he was like, I know more than you. And so some Reds blog did an article, and the title of it was Keith Law not on Nick Lodolo's top 100 prospect evaluators list.
That's pretty funny. That's
it's an amazing troll.
Listen, prospecting is something that can have such wide-ranging opinions. I totally get that. I have a hard time not seeing him as a top 100 guy. Now, I'm just some run-of-the-mill idiot. I don't do it for a living, but that seems off to me. No?
Yeah, it seemed off to me too, but I have a ton of respect for people who do the prospect stuff because
it's hard.
It is so hard, and I don't have the time or bandwidth to watch low A games. On a regular basis, like
and these folks, like Kevin and Eric for us, and Keith and whoever else out there, and we have friends across I'm not going to try to name everybody, but you get it. The prospecting industry. So many of those guys are putting boots on the ground. Our boy Chris Welsh lives in Arizona, puts boots on the ground. If you're not listening to Prospect One and you care about prospects, what are you doing? Like, you're wasting somebody who's there getting actual info.
Yeah.
So here, I disagree with the pick, and I disagree with other things that he's done on different things. But I'm not going to be here to say like you're 1,000% wrong, because I tell you what, he had him 102 last year, Nick Lodolo. Now that was coming into last year. And I think with graduations and his performance, albeit for only 50 innings, and maybe it's just the health piece too. Did he say why? Did we get any reason?
I never saw why, but
that's funny that they trolled back. Yeah,
troll job.
Yeah,
so shout out to you prospect guys. James
hopefully
Anderson,
he took the troll in stride.
Matt Thompson, Eric Cross, all you guys doing the prospect work. Chris Blessing, so that way I don't have to do nearly as much.
Yeah, because I try to expand my bandwidth every year on it. I did the prospect list on our board last year for fantasy, and I couldn't have done it without the work of those guys. Either like reading their stuff and absorbing it, because I can't watch everything. I don't watch everything. And I had to get so many opinions, but it was so much fun talking to people to be like, tell me about this guy in A-ball and double A. Because I'm really strong on triple A, getting better at double A. But then beyond that, I've never seen high A guy. I don't watch high A games. So I respect everything about it.
I pretty much just watch the guys I draft. I'm in some pretty deep dynasty leagues, so
I know you get deep in there, so you have more of a reason to watch.
Yeah, I watch a lot, but it's only because guys like the guys I just mentioned, Matt Thompson, Prospects Live, James Anderson, like these guys, Eric Cross over Fantrax, Chris Welsh, like these guys get video and then they share it with people, like because they share the video that then I don't have to go and watch a full game. I can just watch a 5-minute clip of this guy's swing. So that's like I said, thank God for those guys.
Absolutely
and women.
The prospect community, Shelly absolutely kills it, and I love watching people kind of take control of their own fate in the prospect world and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna start going to games. And you see them just start. That's the best way to do it. If you live near anything.
I wish I was a little bit closer to San Jose, so I could go watch the San Jose Giants or the Sacramento River Cats.
Way more Round Rock games this year.
Yeah, you're right there.
I know. It's absolutely. This year we'll get it done. All right, who do we have next on the list? Is it Cincinnati?
Cincinnati.
All right, Cincinnati. They're a little up in the air too. I know every team is, so it's going to get tired to keep saying that. But as it stands right now, I feel like it's really just going to be rotating. I think it helps Aristides Aquino right now. But I really think with guys like Votto, Suarez, Moustakas, who are older, especially Votto, but then health issues like Moose, and then also their premium catcher Tyler Stevenson can get off his feet and not have to play even first base. He can get some DH burn there. I think Moose jumps right back into the lineup now. Now we don't have to worry about like where's he going to play. But Aristides Aquino could maybe get a little bit more burn as well. So that's kind of how I see it. What do you think happens in Cincy? By the way, we have Moose penciled in.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of guys that are going to get help from this because this is one of those lineups. And I do think that they're a team that could move, one or two of these guys in this lineup to even free things up a little bit more. So that way, like Nick Senzel can get more run. Because I know that
Jose Barrero can get in the lineup where he belongs over Kyle freaking Farmer. Sorry, Kyle Farmer. I know you listen, but
yeah. I think whoever misses out on, like Story and Correa, like Kyle Farmer might be one of those like backup plans, little addition, but it's not going to cost them very much. It'll be nice not to have to worry about like Eugenio Suarez having to actually like platoon or battle for playing time. Though he finished up strongly enough where I think he was going to have a role either way. But
his power is still gross, and he has a hell big contract.
He's going way too late too.
Shut up, dude.
It's insane how late he's going. Third base and shortstop eligible.
Dual eligible at pick 200 for 30 bombs.
Yeah,
pick 191. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's getting 30 bombs
with his eyes closed. Like it's 30. It's 30 at the starting point right now. If he rebounds, it's 35 plus with a chance at another 40 something, maybe not 49. And yeah, I think he can get back on track even with a palatable average. I'll take 230 to be honest from Eugenio Suarez. So yeah, I agree with you though that a lot of guys can get. What about we didn't mention Winker as the guy to get him out of the outfield because he's dreadful out there.
I didn't realize how bad he was out there.
He's a dreadful fielder. It's tough scene out there.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think he was going to necessarily lose much time anyways.
No. They deal with it. I'm saying they do it to like improve.
That would be nice.
And that would be
TJ Friedl's a guy that's super interesting to me.
Talk to me about him then. I've been seeing the name pop up. We actually have him penciled in as the strong side part of the platoon. He played a bit last year. He's a 26-year-old, so he's not some big time prospect, but he played well in his tiny sample. He played well in the minors last year too at AAA. Went 12 and 13 on the homers and steals in 448 plate appearances. He was caught 7 times and then didn't run in his 36 plate appearances in the majors. But he had more walks than strikeouts, almost at a 2-to-1 clip in that small major league sample. It was 4-2, by the way. He did have it at a 2-to-1 clip. Actually, it was 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. So I don't want to overrate it, but he is known for having strong plate skills. So you think TJ Friedl could be something this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think he could maybe like short side platoon. He's a pretty decent defender, and he's got a ton of speed. Enough pop that I think plays, especially in a park like Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Super, super late DC kind of pick. But yeah, I've been taking some dart throws on him, in case
he's nothing, dude. Oh my God, he's picked 745.
Yeah.
He doesn't even go in every draft. Wow.
Yeah, he is last pick of your draft in a 50-round draftable, 15-team 50-round draftable.
I think that's,
So, like, if you're looking for your super, super deep sleeper, TJ Friedl's an interesting guy. I'm trying to remember exactly his backstory. I can't remember if he was the guy that was, like, after the draft was ruled ineligible or something, had to go play in Japan or something. I can't remember.
Oh, word? Let me see. See if I can find something here.
But I can't remember exactly, like, what his...
No, looks like he was not drafted. He might have been an undrafted free agent from what I can, because they don't have a draft. They say where he went to school, but they don't have a draft thing for TJ Friedl. And so then after, what's SMR? If you see, I don't know. Sorry, I assumed you were looking at his the Northwoods League. Is that some sort of?
And it sounds like an independent ball.
Oh, it's a collegiate summer league. It's a collegiate summer league. So he played there and then got picked up out of there, I think, by the Reds. So then he went to rookie league from there. Friedl's always been a little old for his level. So keep that in mind when you're looking at his minor league stats, because you're going to go, and see that there's some pretty decent numbers there. But the plate skills play even as he moves up. And like I said, he came to the majors. Plate skills are there, and he's got good speed. I think for somebody that's penciled in on the strong, Go ahead.
I figured it out. So
Go ahead.
he misunderstood the eligibility rules to be drafted.
Oh my
And
God!
so
And nobody helped him.
and he thought he only had to play college baseball for 3 years, and he didn't have to attend college for 3 years. So he apparently dropped out of college or something early
TJ.
and was ruled ineligible to be
Teach.
drafted, and that's why he was an undrafted free agent. I know there was talk at some point that he would go to overseas. It apparently did not.
Okay.
But I think he would have been like they were talking like he was a top 2 or 3 round pick before this mistake.
Oh wow! So he really cost
So
himself.
yeah, and prospect guys hopefully will correct me if I'm wrong. So, but I mean, I think he's really interesting. Like I said, super late dart throw, put him in the last round.
The thing that kills me is that I know I'm not saying everybody uses our website, but I know tons of people are going to go to Roster Resource that are in these draft and holds. So they're seeing a guy that we have penciled in as a strong side platoon, and he's going that cheaply with speed.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, hey, good for us. You know,
and I mean,
benefit for us.
Decent enough hit tool. Like it's
great plate skills to go with it, and a hit tool that he's not just going to get the bat knocked out of his hand. So. I think he's kind of interesting.
I wonder what the Steamer 600 is on him.
I can get that for you. I bet. Steamer currently has him for 275. I could actually do it in my head too, or not in my head. LOL, that's hilarious that I said that. I could never. I would literally die. My brain is the hamster would die from trying to do that. So 275 times 600. That's gonna be 17 homers. And then 16 steals with a 260 average would be his Steamer 600.
Okay, they say 17, 14.
Okay, I was close. I was just extrapolating the 275.
Yeah, with 74 runs, 69 RBIs. Now that's a projection if he got 600 plate appearances. But you're telling
me if you got that at pick 50,
pick around pick 700 if you're getting a 17-14 guy.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. So yeah, TJ Friedl, good call out there. I like I said, I knew the name and everything, but I had not really given him the time of day to dive in. I've got some intrigue. I'm gonna give a shout to Shogo Akiyama. I'm still not out.
I'm not out either.
And the price just continues to drop. And I know we haven't really seen much. He's even cheaper than Friedl. And he was really good overseas.
Wait, he's cheaper than Friedl?
Yeah, he picked 747. He's only been taken in one draft since January 25th.
If you're in my DCs right now, which I'm in one with you, I will be drafting these guys in rounds 49 and 50. So if you want them, you're gonna have to jump in around 47. Around 47.
I mean, I know we'll be racing. We'll be playing chicken on Friedl with each other.
It's too good of an opportunity to just.
It really is. And Akiyama could be Friedl, by the way. Just everything we just said about Friedl, it could be Akiyama. He doesn't have quite
pair them in hope that they're either platooned and you can or one beats out the other.
Yeah, well, they're both lefties, so that would be difficult. They wouldn't make a perfect platoon. But that's why I said everything we said about Friedl, that could be Akiyama. He's got pretty good plate skills. He's got good speed. He doesn't have as good a plate skills, but he also has a track record from overseas that says, hey, this guy can play, and we just haven't quite seen it yet. He's only gotten 366 major league plate appearances. It's all right to give somebody a little time to adjust. I know he came over at age 32, so the clock's ticking. But I've still got some love for Akiyama. Wanted to give him a little shout. And I did mention Aristides Aquino at the very beginning of this. Let's move on to our next team from the Central. And that would be Chicago.
Oh,
wait. Chicago, then Pittsburgh. Yeah. Is that what I have in on the sheet?
I don't know. I'm not looking at the sheet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's the order. That's the order I put them in. So Chicago, the Cubbies. Does David Bodie finally get a season?
He's injured.
Oh, what happened?
He had some sort of surgery. Right. He's going to miss like the first 2 months of the season.
That's right. I took him off my list recently. Yeah, you're right. And I wrote that before. I wrote that. I mean, he might have been injured, I guess.
Harold Ramirez season, baby.
Yes. Do you know how much I would love that? I love Harold Ramirez.
I mean, I think.
It's Clint Frazier's season. That's who we put in DH.
I think Clint Frazier's probably going, but he was going to play either way. I think.
Yeah.
I think they made that move so they could play him. So I think that while Frazier probably occupies it the most, especially considering all of his like concussion issues and things like
Mhm.
that. I think they will do their best to kind of protect him. I think Harold Ramirez gets a lot of playing time now, which makes him super, super interesting because I think it was Jeff Zimmerman, right? It was like, early on in the offseason, like ran projections, and he was like, Harold Ramirez is going a few hundred picks too low. So I like.
I'm an OG Harold Ramirez hipster.
Yeah.
In 2019, I'm just a sucker for late batting average that has some pop and not much pop, not much. I'm not overstating his power, but he makes a lot of contact, and I think there could be a nice batting average there with some little contributions in homers and steals if he collects 450 plate appearances, and he can platoon with Hayward. He can cut in on this DH. I think Harold Ramirez is definitely licking his chops that the NL got the DH, so I like that one. I think the Cubs are easy. I don't even know if we need to really go any deeper. Anybody else you want to give a shout to?
Just Sergio Alcantara is. I don't think he's going to get much DH time, but he's a guy that is going to be kind of their super utility guy. Could find his way to like 350, 400 plate appearances, and he's a little bit interesting. He's one of those guys I have in that super deep dynasty league that I reference a lot. That I drafted, in with the 18th millionth pick of a draft 4 years ago. So
decent prospect, right? Nothing crazy, but like could spike something, and then playing time rules all. So if he does find some more PT,
no power, but there's contact and speed there. So probably a super utility or utility infielder kind of guy, but just someone. I mean, that Cubs team is so weirdly built.
I know.
And again, another one of these teams that could easily bring someone else in, right? I mean,
yes.
We saw them sign Stroman. They picked up.
They could bring Rizzo back and then put Schwindel at DH.
Yeah,
I mean they could. I'm not. That's not a rumor or anything. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I'm saying like I don't know what they're doing. They're weird. The Cubs are so weird.
I don't understand it because like as much as I think Stroman's a great pitcher, I like the fact that they brought him in. This team looks like it's got a longer rebuild process than most. So why 3 years?
With
and then
Stroman,
Wade Miley.
Yeah.
Also, like,
well, that's because he was free. Like, because the Reds are stupid. But I hear you. I guess they're trying to do a retool, but they kind of tore it down. So I don't know.
They don't really have enough
for a retool.
At least I don't think they've got enough in the minor leagues to be like, hey,
I don't either. But
this crop is coming up.
Yeah.
This is a gap year or something.
They seem to think so, and I know they did a great job replenishing last year by trading the stars. They really, really did well with the Bryant Rizzo and Baez trades all told, but it's not going to bear fruit just yet. And I don't know, they're weird. But that's the Cubs. Let's go over to the Pirates. Finish up the Central here. In my roster review of them, I said Michael Chavis has a good shot at picking up some playing time. That's exactly who we ended up penciling in as well. I think Colin. Oh no, they non-tendered Colin Moran, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
So not him. I mentioned him too, but again, they were one of the first ones written on October 14th, so nothing had happened yet. I also want to give a shout to Hoy Park, who I find some intrigue in. 26 years old, came over from the Yankees last year. It showed a few flashes here and there. Nothing great overall. It was a 75 WRC plus. I'm not trying to sell you on that. I'm just keeping his name in my head. Could also open up avenues for your boy Cole Tucker.
Yeah, there it is. There's my boy, Cole Tucker.
And I know you've talked about him, but give your quick synopsis for those that haven't heard it about why you like Cole Tucker so much this year. As you know, he's almost in kind of your next Cedric Mullins grouping when you're forced to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. He's someone I'll mention. He led off a little bit for them down the stretch, which is something that I identified with Mullins. There's not much power here. I don't think he's turning into a 30 homer guy, but I think he could hit 10 to 15. But I do think he can steal a ton of bases. He's got really good contact skills and amazing hair, just unbelievable.
He does have like tremendous hair.
Yeah, so Cole Tucker is a guy that I really like. I do think that he won't personally benefit from it, but other players will play DH and
exactly
he will take their spot. He's gonna play a little bit of everywhere. from second shortstop in all throughout the outfield. So I think he's gonna weasel his way into 500 plate appearances because that team is awful, and they're gonna move guys around a lot. So Cole Tucker is someone I just I keep gonna continue to keep talking about.
Yeah, keep in mind sometimes when we talk about somebody, it's not them directly going into the position, but rather the way things will balance out, they will be the beneficiary there. And
Yeah,
Cole
I mean,
Tucker,
I think the main beneficiary, like you said, is Chavis probably, and
who I
Tsugo.
don't love, by the way.
He is who he is.
He's Bobby Dahlbeck.
Yeah, probably not as strong, but
Yeah, but
so.
it's that profile type. Yeah, he doesn't have as much power. That's unfair to Dahlbeck. That's unfair to Dahlbeck. Sorry. Dahlbeck has a lot more power.
Hoy Park is a little interesting. I think there is a chance he gets some added run from this. He's kind of a top-ish prospect, so like a back 100, I believe, kind of guy. But yeah, he's a little bit interesting.
So
I think
keep that name in your head too, Hoy Park. And we've already talked about Yoshi Tsutsugo as somebody to keep an eye on. This just further ensures his playing time. Now he was already going to play first, I think, pretty much every day. But again, he's just not going anywhere.
Those of you who play Yahoo, Hoy Park, I believe, is eligible everywhere.
Oh, you'll love to see it. Super util types. All right, let's move out west. Dodgers. It's going to be a rotating spot. Like that's just, they already rotate like every spot on their team. I could not possibly fathom them settling on a firm DH. I just don't see it. It helps Gavin Lux's outlook, I should say. Zach McKinstry, Matt Beatty. Now they're all lefties, unfortunately. So that there's no like obvious platoon there. A guy I like, but he's not on the 40-man yet. So it's more of an in-season thing, not somebody to draft, is Michael Busch. He peaked at Double-A this year for 170, or he played at Double-A all year. It wasn't a 2-level season, but hit 20 homers there. He's pretty intriguing. We'll see what he can do in Triple-A this year. He could be knocking on the door. He's another lefty though, so I don't think that it's anybody set in stone. But I think Gavin Lux is the biggest winner. What do you think about the Dodgers and the DH?
I like Michael Busch a lot. He's not on the 40-man.
That's a tough. He's an in-season guy. Do not draft him. He's like Joey Weimer.
I've taken him in a DC or two. But like as one of my only prospects. I think there is kind of a regular DH guy on this team, and I think it's AJ
Pollock.
Yeah. So I think
I read you like a book.
I mean, I think it just helps him.
But here's the thing: he was going to. You're right. To that degree of like
he was going to play every day anyway.
That's my point. That's the only point I'm trying to make there.
But I think the difference is
this keeps him healthier.
This keeps him on the field, so he actually can play every day. So I think he will probably play 75% of his games at DH and then in the outfield, occasionally. But that'll open up a role for guys like Batty or guys like Gavin Lux, or give those guys a little bit more opportunity.
I still love Zach McKinstry too.
McKinstry's interesting, yeah.
I'm a sucker for guys like that.
I think like McKinstry, Batty, Luke Raley, like I think these guys are going to be rotating until one of them gets hot, and then they'll ride with that hot hand for whatever. I think McKinstry has probably got the most upside out of that group. So if you're going to
even over Lux.
Oh no! I assume Lux will have a full-time role now.
Okay. So you're going with the Raley.
Lux is either going to play full-time at second or full-time in the outfield. Or
Raley, Batty, and then who else?
McKinstry.
Oh, McKinstry, the guy we're talking about. I'm a dumbass. So yeah, of those three, you like McKinstry the best. I do too, by a lot. All right, Giants, also a team. I think they rotate. Again, they rotated everything last year as far as platoons and whatnot. Biggest winner has to be Darren Ruff, though. No.
Yeah, because I think they can potentially play Brandon Belt mostly at DH, and
then Ruff can play some first.
Ruff plays first and keeps him healthy. I also think a huge winner is Joey Bart. I think Joey Bart will catch, or when he's not catching, will play some DH too, because while he's still developing, I think that bat is pretty decent, especially comparatively speaking to a lot of the other bats in that lineup. So I think Bart gets a few more, and this is something we haven't actually mentioned throughout the podcast. We should have been, there are going to be catchers. Tyler Stevenson's an example.
Yep.
I think Travis
Real Muto.
d'Arnaud is an example. Real Muto is an example of guys who are going to get more plate appearances at DH, as a catcher, which increases their value.
Yep. To that end, I think it will help even with someone like a Will Smith, a younger guy.
Will Smith
the
is
Dodgers.
huge because Will Smith, I think, has the potential to get 600 plate appearances this year.
Yep.
Because when he is not catching, he may be that full-time DH. So I think, the times they'll probably figure it out with AJ Pollock. Oh, Will Smith isn't catching today. AJ, you're playing out in the field, and Will Smith. I think Will Smith is reason why I'm willing to take him in the 5th round is because I think here's a real chance he's going to get 500 to 600 plate appearances.
Totally agree with that.
For those of you who are just listening audio version, Paul has switched.
You're missing out.
Yeah, switched his camera to Charlotte, who is quietly grooming herself.
Yeah, she's grooming right now. She got one ear flipped back like a total dweeb. Lamont Wade Jr. also gets a benefit here. With an extra spot, doesn't have to come out as often. Shouldn't really be playing against lefties, though. Honestly, if I would be perfectly happy to still draft Lamont Wade, even if they come out and said he's only going to play against righties on a strong side platoon, it wouldn't deter me at all. Just get rid of all the lefty at bats. That's fine.
I think maybe a guy like Austin Slater becomes a little bit more interesting too.
Just another avenue for a few more plate appearances for him. And he's didn't he steal like 12 bases last year in 5 seconds of playing time?
Yeah, he is speed.
15. He went 12 and 15 in 306 plate appearances.
And he's not punchless. I mean, Wilmer Flores, another guy who's going to get added plate appearances.
No doubt.
Especially because as the Giants move guys to DH, he can play so many positions in that infield that he'll get a little bit more time. So they're going to maximize play appearances, and they're another team again who could go out and get a big bat. Like there's been talk that they could be interested in Nick Castellanos. There was even talk that they could be interested in Trevor Story or Correa. Though I don't necessarily understand that one when you've re-signed.
When you just re-signed
Crawford.
Crawford. Yeah, like
I mean, unless Story's gonna play second or third.
But you still have Longoria. I mean, Stella's not blocking anybody, so they could. I mean, they could, right? They could if one of them would be interested in playing second, for the first year or for the first couple of years of the deal, and then they can move back to short or something. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense, though.
I know Story has mentioned he'd be willing to, play a different position, but
for the right team.
I mean, yeah, and I think it was third base. I think and Correa, I believe, said he would as well. So I mean, theoretically, you could put one of them at third base, and then Longoria becomes your DH.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
So.
All right, Padres time. What can the Padres do with a DH role? Now, they're another team that I think we'd have more clarity on what they're going to do if there was an off season that wasn't stunted. I think Nola, I think this helps Austin Nola, who, is penciled in as a catcher right now, as their catcher right now, but they do have 3 on the roster in Nola, Caratini, and Jorge Alfaro, who they acquired, and then also Luis Campusano on the come up. But Nola, I think, is being kind of ignored at catcher. And I wonder if this DH situation brings him back into focus for you at all. Are you interested by that? If not, who do you see benefiting? You like our boy Ha-Seong Kim to benefit from this indirectly, perhaps, maybe not he playing DH, but other people playing DH, and then he can slot in. We have Profar penciled in. Profar's not going to be the everyday DH because he can move around too much. He's too flexible.
Yeah,
defensively.
Though I do think Profar is probably the biggest beneficiary, and Kim. I think those are the biggest beneficiaries. It just opens up another avenue for them. Especially if they're going to give Tatis more days at DH to kind of keep the shoulder. Because Tatis didn't get hurt swinging; he got hurt playing the field. And so maybe Kim plays a little bit more shortstop, in order to kind of help, or Cronenworth plays more shortstop, put Kim at second, put, Profar, at first, who knows? I think it's going to be a kind of a rotating thing. I'll be interested to see what kind of moves they make, because there's been talk that they could be looking to trade guys like Will Myers or Eric Hosmer and even offering prospects who are free up space to give some more of these guys, or even bring in another guy. So I think this is a really, really unsettled roster. I going back to your Austin Nola question, I don't really know what to make of what they're doing. They've got, like you said, 3 catchers on the roster. I know Alfaro's played some outfield,
Yeah.
but I don't think they want necessarily to play a guy
I
like
hope
Alfaro in the outfield on a regular basis. It makes me wonder if maybe Austin Nola is going to be on the move, because I assume that they want to keep Darvish happy and Caratini on the roster.
Mhm.
The whole reason they made the move for Caratini with Darvish was because, they like working with each other. So I wonder if Nola is going to be a guy who gets dealt after, things open back up. If he's not, then yeah, he would be kind of interesting if they're planning on giving him more DH role. It's what made him interesting in Seattle was the fact that he would play other positions.
Non-catching catcher,
Uh,
yeah. But then when he actually broke out, when Nola actually broke out, it was because he was catching because Tom Murphy got hurt. So I
yeah.
remember it was one of those where you get the right answer, but if you showed your work, it was wrong because I
Mhm.
was pumping him up. I loved Austin Nola,
Yeah.
non-catching catcher, non-catching catcher. Well, then Tom Murphy gets hurt. He actually was quite good, but not for the right reasons. He is 32 as well, though. Nola's new on the scene because he just debuted in 2019, but he's not a young guy. So I don't know. I think he could benefit from the DH. I'm just saying don't forget about him at catcher. And I think the general fantasy community kind of has buried him. And I consider myself firmly among that. He was a guy that I did really like, somebody that I was pumping a couple years in a row. And then this year, he really has fallen down my list. But now that the DH is solidified, I'm going to bump him up a little bit for sure. He goes at pick 373. Austin Nola does. And among catchers, I got to say he's outside of like the top 25, probably. I'm looking
Mhm.
right now. 372. That's 26. So quite literally just outside the top 25.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he can outperform that ranking for sure.
I mean, I think he can too. I just don't know that he's as interesting as we want to hope that he could be.
At
I mean,
catcher?
yeah, even at catcher. I mean, we're talking about a guy who, uh, even in his, like quote unquote breakout in 2019, he only hit 10 home runs. I know it wasn't in a ton of plate appearances, right? But it was also during the rabbit ball time.
Okay.
So
Sure.
like how much, you kind of look at what he's done over, you just combine the last 2 seasons. I know he was hurt last year, but combine 2020 and 2021, you get 9 home runs in just under 400 plate appearances. Like, I just don't know that maybe he's as special as we want him to be. Like, I think
Yeah.
maybe the
I'm
thought of
not special. It's not about being special.
but
It's about just
10 home runs from my catcher
that's in
3
half a
is,
season. Where do you think he ranked that year among catchers?
but maybe he's just not good enough to get all those plate appearances that we want him to get.
Nah, I think it's been health. I think it's been clearly health. Even last year in a crap year, he was a league average bat. I think it's health. I think it really comes down to health for Austin Nola, which we don't know. And I mean, we have to lean bad because we've seen mostly bad, but it's quality plate skills from catcher, which means batting average, which is always going to play. And so I think even with, like where do you think these projections put him? Let me close the loop on what I said. Where do you think he finished in 2019 with those 10 homers in 79 games among catchers?
In 2019,
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a top 15 catcher.
No, it was only 22nd
Oh,
because
okay.
of the volume, I imagine. But also, I had to lower the threshold down to 7 catchers or 7 games at catcher because he didn't play a lot of catcher in 2019. So
Nobody's
that might be,
eligible.
yeah, there might be a few guys, some tiny sample studs in there that might be messing it up. But that's not really. I'm saying though, in a half season, he was already better than what his current price is, and
Yeah, I think he's fine where he's going. I just, he's not necessarily a guy I'm targeting. Like,
sure.
I'm fine. I'm fine if he's my catcher 3, or a really low end catcher 2. I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like guys going behind him that are more interesting to me. Former teammate Luis Torrens, who we talked about recently.
Yes, non-catching catcher to the hilt. By the way, he just
Yeah,
crushes the ball.
MJ Melendez.
Where's he playing? Why are people liking him? I don't get this. They have the
Because
biggest stalwart catcher in the universe in front
the
of him.
Royals said that they expect him to be up on the roster to start,
do what? Be the bullpen catcher?
to be a super utility guy. They're going to end up playing. they're gonna end up playing him over Edward Olivares.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
They're gonna send Edward Olivares down so they can play him.
Edward Olivares should buy 5 houses in Omaha.
He should be just getting freaking flyer miles. He'd be
where
rich.
The hell else? Yeah, exactly. No, but like bus miles. You know they're not paying for him to fly.
Yeah, I know. That's awful.
The Royals.
He's gonna get his free smoothie with all the punch cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Waiting for the bus.
I was gonna keep going, but I'm gonna peel back.
Mm-hmm.
In the minors, he's only played third base for 9 games, and then DH and catcher. Where else does Melendez play? I missed
apparently the outfield. Grant Dayton apparently says he's gonna play multiple positions.
JJ Piccolo, General Manager JJ Piccolo, said in an interview on 610 Sports Radio in Kansas City that position switch down the line is possible for catching prospect MJ Melendez. He's a good defender behind the dish, but this is a way to kind of get him playing time because Perez is there through 2025 and obviously not slowing down in the slightest. Okay, so because Melendez was so good in the minors last year, he has kind of forced their hand, and now I'm understanding why people like him more. Okay, I was wondering where this hype was. I missed this bit of news, and I apologize. That's on me. But my man did hit 42 homers 41 homers last year in double and triple A.
Yeah, and his triple slash was 288, 386, 625.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I mean that's disgusting at age 22. I'm sorry, that's filthy. Okay.
So I
mean,
I've been taking that dart throw. I think it's something you want to do with a pretty stable catcher 1 and catcher 2.
Absolutely.
But one of the spots there. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of upside there from if you could find some playing time.
Yeah, I like that because he was MJ Melendez so great last year.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry, that was a tangent that we got on from Austin Nola because you were talking about catchers that you like after him.
Talking about NLDHs.
No, and we got it on an AL super util catcher.
Catcher in Kansas City.
2 more teams, two of the worst in the league, Arizona and Colorado. Let's go Arizona first, and then Colorado. Arizona. I said that they would. Seth Beer feels like.
Yeah, it's Seth Beer time.
Perfect. That they were the first one I wrote. They were, they were the second one I wrote behind the Orioles, and I was like, so they were the first if the DH returns to the NL, and I was like, Seth Beer, are you kidding? He just destroys baseballs, and he can't play. He's a beer league softballer. I know. It sounds like I'm just saying it because his last name is Beer. It just fits too perfectly. It's too perfect. He's a 60 raw. He just crushes the ball. He has to play next year, yeah?
When I saw him at the Arizona Fall League in 2019, I can't remember who I was sitting next to in the industry. And he missed a pop fly at first base that was 3 feet to the left of the bag. And he missed it by a good 4 or 5 feet. And I turned and looked at whoever was sitting next to me. It might have been Scott Bogman, and said, "This may be the worst defender I've ever seen."
That's tough. That is tough. And by the way, just to kind of underscore the point, he was hitting 315, 375, 452 in that fall league, proving why he belongs there, but also showing why he needed the DH so badly with that defense.
There may be no person in Major League Baseball or minor league baseball that benefits from the DH more than Seth Beer. Seth Beer could be an absolute monster this year.
Because when he was included in that trade, the Greinke deal, it was like, oh my God, what's going on with this guy here? Because now he's going to the National League. He's never going to find playing time. That was the big concern, understandably. But it's back now. And in 100 games last year at AAA, he hit 287, 398, 511 with 16 homers. I mean, he's just got the pop. And even if you don't fully believe that those plate skills are going to translate, that he's had, and he has a little bit more swing and miss at the major league level, I would still take, 245 and a 25 homer season. He has a chance at 30 homers if he is a set it and forget it DH, like a strong chance.
Yeah, I completely agree. For those of you who think I'm being hyperbolic on the defense too, I'm not. Like,
no, You're
You go
really
over
not.
go over and look at his Fangraphs grades that Eric Longenhagen does, and like you remember, it's on a 20 to 80 scale, and he has him as a 20 fielder.
At
And
first base, dude.
if there was a negative value for fielding, he would get it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's crazy.
He is to bad defense what Billy Hamilton was to speed.
Correct. Yeah, I like that. That really crystallizes
Yeah.
what we're dealing with here for Seth Beer. But no more. Don't have to worry about it. You're DHing.
It's amazing.
And we got him penciled in for at least the strong side platoon. He's a lefty, and Jordan Luplow crushes lefties, so he could kill it on the short side. I'll take a strong side platoon Seth Beer all day long. And he
is only UT eligible in NFBC, and
fair.
he may be DH or UT eligible in a lot of different formats, but he's also going to get pick 607.
So like can't hurt you
at all.
Can't hurt you. Just take him. Just take him in DC and maybe 30 years. All right. The last team, obviously, another offensive position for Colorado is always going to be pleasing. I don't think they really have the talent to fully maximize it, but anybody getting extra PT in Colorado is great. CJ Cron obviously could find some time there and get off his feet, but Charlie Blackmon might be the obvious fit because of all the outfielders they have. I think this even more firmly solidifies Connor Joe, while also being a boon to somebody like a Sam Hilliard, who we now have penciled in on the strong side in center field. Who are you seeing here as the guy to get based on this news in Colorado?
Yeah, I think you're right that Charlie Blackmon probably is going to be the regular DH, and Connor Joe, who had just took in one of these DCs, I think he's going to get full-time playing time. Mm-hmm. Sam Hilliard definitely is going to get an opportunity, but Sam Hilliard kind of Sam Hilliards himself sometimes, and
he got some big swing and miss.
Yeah, it is. So I mean, if you're looking for that like lottery ticket dart throw, Sam Hilliard has power. He's got speed, and he likes to swing and miss. If he can find a little bit more contact because he's in Colorado, and that's where the contact angels live.
I like that. Contact angels.
Then yeah, I mean, Sam Hilliard's a really interesting guy. I don't want to sleep on Ryan Valadi, who came up late last year. Is a interesting prospect in his own right. Can play the infield and the outfield. I mean, he originally, I believe, came up as a shortstop, played some third base. He's been playing the outfield. I think he's a guy, if Sam Hilliard falls on his face, that could be interesting. So I know with a lot of these, we've talked about like super deep sleepers. I think Veladi's going around pick 700.
Did you mention that he runs a little bit too?
Yeah, he does.
At least Veladi has in the minors. And we only gave him a 40 speed, so it's not always about the raw speed, but he has 12 in 117 games, 24 in 128 games, and 17 in 124 games over his last 3 seasons. Veladi does, so keep an eye on that. Somebody could really pop here, like a Hilliard or Veladi. They could definitely be something big.
They also have Colton Welker still in the minor leagues, so former prospect of note. And I'm going to butcher this name, Elihuris Montero.
Yes, remember we talked about him a while ago.
Yeah.
And in the context of, what was the context?
I cannot remember.
Oh, you know what I think it was? Potential gems with Steamer 600.
Oh, there you go.
That's what it was. And we mentioned Valade and Welker in that. And now there's a new position, a free role. And Elihuris Montero could definitely be the guy. They got him in the Arenado deal.
So now that we've said all this, they will sign 2 or 3 players to block off all these people
who are 29 and older. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Ian Desmond's coming back. All right, so that's a tour around the National League. A lot of potential beneficiaries running the gamut. Some guys that are earlier picks that are going to benefit from it, mid-tier picks, a lot of late guys who could really pop. So there's not as much clarity, especially because the offseason is not over. Normally, if this had come out on February 11th of a normal offseason, teams would be pretty much set and we'd be able to really zero in. But I think we did our best shot here on figuring out who can get these roles, and now give you some extra names to draft in your draft champions, which we are both in 2 of right now, one together and then one separate from one another. So quit sniping me, okay? Just stop. Just stop taking Akil Badu, you piece of garbage.
I was torn between him and someone else, and I was all like, "Oh, I need to get Paul back here."
Yeah, like you know exactly what you're doing here because it just so happens that most of your even rounds happen to be guys that I love when I would have 2 more cracks at them. Oh, gee, you took Joe Musgrove 2 picks before me. Weird. Blake Snell.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
never.
took Joe Musgrove only because I got sniped on Logan Webb.
Oh, yes, right before Greg
Yeah,
Sheeran
so
smoked you,
yeah, it was that was like, oh damn.
bro.
And the
That
funny
was
part is, had I been sniped on Musgrove too, I would have taken the guy you took in Trevor Rogers. So
that would have been devastating because then I don't even know what I like. So I had Webb, Musgrove. It was Flaherty, or it was Webb, Flaherty, Musgrove, Rogers was my order, and I got my last one. Like that was a nerve-wracking run there with you guys just snaking each one that I liked. That was tough. But then you also got Blake Snell in the 8th when I would have had 2 cracks at him. You jerk. You did that with Badu, and
which
you did it with
forced you to take
Verdugo.
Verlander, which is a nice little wasted pick.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm just kidding. But actually, yeah, the Badu one, I was actually leaning towards. I was actually leaning towards taking Schwarber, but I literally thought, I was like, you know what? He's gonna want Badu, so I'm just.
You were right. I mean, that's smart. Yeah, we have to do that, right?
Mhm.
Like, and that's why I took Suarez from you, Ranger
Yeah.
Suarez, because I knew you were going to have 2 cracks at him. And I thought for sure you would consider taking him. You hadn't taken a pitcher since the 8th round. It was the 11th. And that's the little, bits of info when you know people in your draft that you throw the ADP out. You do that when you know somebody that a person in the draft is comfortable taking that player there, and they're going to get 2 shots before you pick again. Nah, you got to take your guy.
Yeah,
and even if
absolutely.
you had said I wasn't looking at Suarez there, I still would have been happy with the pick, but I knew that was a definite range where you would have been comfortable taking him. And you knew that about me with Badu. You're like, oh, he would definitely take Badu here. You got him in the 10th round. That's a great scoop. I like your team. I really do. I'm happy with mine, but I like yours.
I don't love mine. I like it, but
I think you got good things going. What's your biggest concern? I mean, you need to start getting the pitching. This is kind of the area where you can find that breakout pitching, though, right? We're in round 13.
I'm not super confident in how much power I have. Now, power is obviously something I can get late.
That's true. That's fair.
You look at my team: Real Muto, Mondesi, Jonathan India, DJ LeMahieu, Akil Baddoo, Gleyber Torres, and Alex Verdugo.
But you know what you did? You laid a foundation where you can take.
I've got plenty of speed, and even with taking Mondesi and Baddoo, I've got plenty of average.
That's what I was going to say. And so now you can take a bankable 30 homers with a 225 average once, maybe even twice. So Bobby Dahlbeck is landing on your team. How excited are you to get it?
It might be Joey Gallo.
I was going to say him. I thought he was already gone, but I'm mixing. I hate when 2 of my drafts are in the same spot of the draft because I get really confused about who's available. I mean, obviously, I'm keeping track on this.
Unless I could be wrong too.
No, you're right that he's available, but I'm pretty sure he went in the other one I'm in just recently, and that's why he's available in this one.
Yeah,
but he's a great fit for you. He's
Gallo and Soler are both there right now, so
both good fits.
It's been a fun draft. It's been a slow draft, which it is a slow draft. So
it is a slow draft. It's not been too bad.
I'm not tearing my hair out, mostly because I don't have much hair.
But you also have another one to occupy your time. You're doing everything with TGFBI, so you're not just sitting on the website like watching the clock tick. So
no, I am sitting on the website and watching.
You're crazy. I have it pulled up, but I don't sit there and watch it. I'm all right to let it breathe a little bit, but it's been a fun draft for sure with the triple play folks. And then I'm doing the other one with the Arizona Fall League.
I don't know if you saw this. David Mendelson of Triple Play got a position at Fantasy Pros.
Let's go. Big congrats there.
As a featured analyst there. So congratulations to him. Awesome.
Big congrats in order there. Yes, excellent stuff. I like that. Dave's wonderful. That's going to wrap us up. We're going to head into the weekend. Who's your Super Bowl pick?
I'm taking the Rams to win. I just want to see a good game.
Me too.
I just think the Rams defense is so strong that I think they may finally be able to get Burrow and keep him down. But we are recording on Sunday prior to the Super Bowl. Michael Simeone of SP Stream are going to come on and talk about his draft guide, which will be coming out on Monday. So
what a group there. That's
if you have starting pitching questions, you can at me on Twitter because we will definitely be talking starting pitching with Michael Simeone.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, talk to you next week.
Take it easy.